He tasted blood before the pain hit. Wushiok's body slammed into the concrete pillar so hard the stone cracked beneath the impact. His ribs screamed. His vision blurred white, then red, then black at the edges. 3 men in dark coats surrounded him in the underground parking garage. No security cameras down here, no witnesses, no one coming to help. The tallest one crouched down, pulling a knife from his jacket. "Chairman Ryu wants you to understand something," the man said, voice calm as winter. "When you betray family, you don't just lose your life. You lose everything." Wushiok coughed. Blood spilled from his mouth onto the oil-stained concrete. "Tell him." His voice cracked. "I'm not afraid to die." The man smiled. "Good. Because that's exactly what's about to happen." A boot crashed into Wushiok's stomach. Air exploded from his lungs. His phone skidded across the floor, screen shattering into 100 pieces. The men circled closer, fists raised, knuckles already bruised from the beating. This was it. This was how he died. Alone in a freezing parking garage while the man who raised him watched from somewhere safe and warm. The tallest man raised the knife. Beep! A car horn ripped through the silence like an explosion. Headlights flooded the garage, blinding and sudden. A silver sedan came flying down the ramp at full speed, tires screaming against the pavement. The car wasn't slowing down. It was accelerating, straight toward them. The attackers jumped back, cursing. The car screeched to a stop inches from Wushiok's body. The driver's door flew open while the engine was still roaring, and a black woman jumped out, gripping a tire iron in both hands. "Get the hell away from him!" Her voice cut through the air like a gunshot. She wore a thick cafe jacket with the name tag still pinned to her chest, natural curls tied back in a high bun, dark eyes burning with rage so pure it felt dangerous. Before we continue, besties, please tap the like button and subscribe. It's the easiest way to support this channel and help these powerful stories keep coming. We share new, emotionally gripping stories every single day, just for you. And don't forget to drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there. I'd love to see how far this beautiful story of love and destiny has traveled. She didn't wait for them to respond. She swung. The tire iron connected with the nearest man's shoulder. The crack echoed through the garage. He howled and stumbled backward, clutching his arm. "You want to hit someone?" she shouted, stepping forward. "Try hitting me." The tallest man laughed, knife still in his hand. "You have no idea what you just walked into, American girl. And you have no idea who you're threatening." She slammed the tire iron against a concrete pillar. Clang. The sound rang out like a church bell. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Faint at first, then growing louder by the second. The men looked at each other. The tallest one spat on the ground near Wushiok's body. "This isn't over." They disappeared into the shadows, footsteps fading fast through the emergency exit. Silence fell. The woman dropped to her knees beside Wushiok, tire iron clattering to the ground. She pulled him up with surprising strength, her hands steady despite everything that just happened. "Can you stand?" He stared at her like she was a hallucination, like his dying brain had created an angel to comfort him in his final moments. "Who are you?" "Soleil," she said, helping him to his feet. "Soleil Carter. And we need to move right now before they come back with guns." She dragged him toward her car, opened the passenger door and practically shoved him inside. Blood dripped from his mouth onto her jacket sleeve. She didn't even look at it. "Those men are going to kill you," she said, starting the engine. "They're going to kill you too," he whispered, "now that you've interfered." Soleil looked at him, through the rearview mirror as she reversed out of the parking space, tires screeching. "Then I guess we're both dead if we stay here." The car shot out of the garage and into the freezing Seoul night. Snow fell heavy and fast, covering the city in white. But across the street, hidden in the shadows between 2 buildings, A black SUV sat with its engine running. Tinted windows. No license plate. Inside, a man pressed a phone to his ear, watching Soleil's car disappear into traffic. "Chairman Ryu," the man said quietly, "we have a serious problem. Some American woman just saved him. She saw all of our faces." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then Chairman Ryu's voice came through, cold and precise. "Find out everything about her, where she works, where she lives, who she loves, and then we teach Han Woo-seok what happens when innocent people try to play hero." The line went dead. The man in the SUV smiled, started the engine, and followed them into the night. 3 weeks earlier, Soleil Carter was wiping down the last table when she saw him. The man in the corner booth who looked like he wanted to disappear. Café Hanul was empty. The blizzard outside had chased everyone home hours ago. Even her manager had left early, leaving Soleil alone to close up. But this man stayed. Black suit, expensive watch, hands wrapped around a coffee cup that had gone cold 20 minutes ago. He wasn't drinking it. He was holding it like it was the only warm thing left in his world. Soleil grabbed the coffee pot and walked over. "Need a refill?" He looked up. Dark eyes, exhausted, haunted by something she couldn't name yet. "No, thank you." His voice was quiet, polite, empty. She poured fresh coffee into his cup anyway. "You've been sitting here for 3 hours," she said. "Either you really love our coffee or you've got nowhere else to go." He stared at her like no one had spoken to him that directly in years. "I should leave." "You should. But you won't." His jaw tightened. "You don't know me. I know loneliness when I see it." The words hung in the freezing air between them. Snow hammered against the windows like fists trying to break through. The cafe lights flickered once, twice, then held steady. Soleil walked back to the counter, grabbed a croissant from the display case, one of the fresh ones, not the day-old rejects, and brought it to his table. "Kitchen mistake," she lied. "It's free." "You don't have to do that." "I know." She turned to walk away, but his voice stopped her. "Why?" She looked back. "Why what? Why are you being kind to a stranger?" Soleil thought about Baltimore, about working 2 jobs at 16, about the landlord who let her family stay an extra month when her mother got sick, about the teacher who bought her winter boots when hers fell apart. "Because somebody was kind to me once," she said. "When I had nothing." He picked up the croissant. His hands were shaking. Not from cold, from something deeper. "Thank you," he whispered. When he finally left an hour later, Soleil found a $100 bill under his coffee cup. The next night he came back. Same corner. Same black coffee. Same unbearable loneliness. "You always sit in the coldest spot," Soleil said, placing his cup down. "It keeps me awake." "Or it keeps you punishing yourself." He almost smiled. Almost. "You're very direct." Life's too short for polite lies. His phone buzzed on the table. The screen lit up with a name that made every muscle in his body go rigid. Chairman Ryu. Soleil watched the color drain from his face, watched his hands start shaking again, watched fear replace whatever small peace he'd found in this cafe. "You need to answer that?" "No." The phone kept buzzing, vibrating against the wood like a rattlesnake warning before it strikes. He stared at it like it might explode. Then he stood abruptly, threw cash on the table, and walked toward the door without another word. "Hey," Soleil called after him. He stopped, didn't turn around. "Whatever you're running from," she said quietly, "I hope you find somewhere safe." He left without responding. The door closed behind him. Snow swallowed him whole within seconds. Soleil stood there, watching him disappear into the blizzard, and felt something cold settle in her chest. Not fear, exactly, but recognition. She'd seen that look before. In her uncle's eyes right before he vanished for 6 months to escape people he owed money to. In her best friend's face the week before her boyfriend put her in the hospital. That look that said, "I'm already dead. I'm just waiting for my body to figure it out." Soleil locked the cafe door and walked to her car. She had no idea that in 3 weeks she'd be the only thing standing between that man and death, or that saving his life would mark her for destruction, or that right now, at this exact moment, Chairman Ryu was sitting in his office watching security footage of Cafe Hanil, watching her, learning her face, deciding whether she was a threat or an opportunity. Han Woo-seok grew up believing Chairman Ryu saved his life. He was 14 when his parents died in a car accident. No family, no money, no future. Ryu found him at the funeral. "You're brilliant," Ryu had said, hand on his shoulder. "I won't let that go to waste." Ryu paid for everything. Private school, university abroad, business training, political connections. Woo-seok became everything Ryu wanted. Sharp, loyal, ruthless when necessary. By 28, he was Ryu's right hand, the man everyone feared would replace the chairman one day. Then Woo-seok found the files. Late night at the office, he was looking for a contract when he opened the wrong drawer. Bank statements, wire transfers, names he recognized from the news, politicians, judges, police chiefs, all receiving money from shell companies Ryu controlled. Woo-seok kept digging. The companies were fronts, money laundering operations connected to human, trafficking rings moving women across borders, girls disappearing from poor villages, families paid to stay quiet. His hands shook as he photographed everything. The man who saved him was a monster. Woo-seok went to Ryu the next morning with a choice. Shut it all down, or he'd expose everything. Ryu listened calmly. Then he smiled. "You're more naive than I thought." Within 48 hours, Woo-seok lost everything. His corporate position, gone. His apartment, locked. His bank accounts, frozen. Every connection he had disappeared overnight. Ryu's message was clear. "You exist because I allow it. Cross me again, and you stop existing." Woo-seok went into hiding. Small hotel rooms paid in cash. Different location every 3 nights. No phone calls, no emails, no contact with anyone from his old life. He knew Ryu was hunting him. Knew it was only a matter of time before the hunters found their target. Every shadow felt like a threat. Every stranger's glance felt like surveillance. He stopped sleeping more than 2 hours at a time, stopped eating regular meals, stopped believing he'd survive the month. That's when he started going to Cafe Hanul. Not because the coffee was good, but because it was the only place in Seoul where he felt invisible, where he could sit in the cold corner and pretend for a few hours that he wasn't waiting to die, where a woman with kind eyes and a warm voice treated him like he was human, not a target, not a problem, just a man who needed coffee and a moment of peace. He didn't know her name yet, didn't know she'd save his life, didn't know that loving her would make everything worse. Because across the city, in a glass office overlooking the Han River, Chairman Ryu sat reviewing security reports. His assistant placed a folder on the desk. "Sir, we've tracked him to a cafe in Itaewon. He goes there every night." Ryu opened the folder. Surveillance photos, timestamps, location data, and one photo that made him pause. Woo-seok, sitting across from a black woman, smiling. Actually smiling. Ryu's eyes narrowed. "Who is she?" "American. Works at the cafe. Name is Soleil Carter." Ryu studied the photo for a long moment. Then he closed the folder. "Send someone to watch her. I want to know everything. Where she lives, who she talks to, what matters to her." "Should we eliminate the problem now, sir?" Ryu smiled. "No. Let him think he's safe for a little while longer. Let him get attached. And then we show him what happens when you try to find happiness after betraying me." The cafe was nearly full when Chairman Ryu walked in. Soleil felt the shift immediately. Conversations died mid-sentence. Customers suddenly found their phones fascinating. The temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Ryu moved through the space like he owned it. Tailored charcoal suit, silver hair slicked back, a face that looked kind until you saw his eyes. Cold, calculating, reptilian. He slid into Wushiok's booth without asking. Wushiok's entire body went rigid. You look thinner, Ryu said, voice soft as poison. Not sleeping well? What do you want? To talk, like we used to. We have nothing to talk about. Ryu's smile didn't reach his eyes. I disagree. I think we have quite a lot to discuss. Your health, for example. Your living situation. Behind the counter, Soleil watched them, every instinct screaming danger. Ryu's gaze drifted toward her. Their eyes met. Something crawled up her spine, cold and ancient and wrong. He looked at her like she was a chess piece he was considering moving. Then he turned back to Wushio. The American girl, Ryu said quietly. She seems warm. Wushio's hands clenched into fists under the table. Leave her out of this. Out of what? I'm simply making an observation. She brings you food, smiles at you, treats you like you matter. I'm warning you? You're warning me? Ryu laughed softly. You have no power here. No protection. No allies. You're a ghost, pretending to be alive. He leaned closer. But her? She's very much alive. Very vulnerable. Wushok's voice came out like gravel. Touch her, and I'll kill you myself. There it is. The fire I raised you with. Ryu stood, adjusting his cufflinks. You know what your problem is. You still think kindness matters. You think one woman's smile can save you. He placed a hand on Wuxiok's shoulder. Let me teach you something. Kindness is just weakness with better marketing. And weakness? Weakness gets people killed. Ryu walked toward the exit, then paused beside Soleil at the counter. The coffee here is excellent, he said, voice dripping with false charm. You must take great care in your work. Soleil didn't smile. We do our best. I'm sure you do. He placed a business card on the counter. If you ever need anything, protection, opportunity, security, call me. I help people who deserve it. I'm good, thanks. His smile widened. For now. He left. The cafe remained silent for a full minute after he disappeared. Then conversation slowly resumed, like everyone had been holding their breath. Soleil rushed to Wushok's table. That man is dangerous. He's worse than dangerous. Then why face him alone? Wushok's voice broke. Because everyone who stands beside me gets hurt. What does he want from you? Everything. My silence. My fear. My death. Soleil sat down across from him. What did you do to him? I found out what he really is, and I refused to pretend I didn't see it. She reached across the table, placed her hand over his. Then you did the right thing. The right thing is going to get me killed. Maybe. Or maybe the right thing is what finally stops him. Wushio looked at her hand on his, warm, steady, real. You should stay away from me. Probably. I'm serious. So am I. She squeezed his hand once, then pulled away. But I'm also not someone who runs when things get hard. She stood, grabbed the coffee pot, and walked back to the counter. Wushio sat there, staring at the business card Ryu had left behind. On the back, written in elegant handwriting, she's beautiful when she smiles. Let's hope she gets to keep doing that. His blood turned to ice. Outside, in a black sedan parked across the street, a man with a camera lowered his lens. He'd captured everything. Every conversation, every touch, every moment of connection between them. He uploaded the photos to a secure server. 20 seconds later, his phone rang. Did you get it? Ryu's voice. Every angle, sir? Good. Now I want you to follow her. Learn her routine, find her weaknesses. What are we preparing for? Insurance, Ryu said, in case Han Woo-seok forgets who has the power here. The line went dead. The man started the engine and followed Soleil home. Woo-seok didn't remember most of the drive to the hospital, just fragments. Soleil's hands gripping the steering wheel, blood dripping from his mouth onto her jacket, the taste of copper, the sound of her voice telling him to stay awake. Don't close your eyes, you hear me? Stay with me. The emergency room was chaos, doctors shouting, nurses rushing, bright lights burning his retinas. Someone asked his name. He couldn't remember it. They asked if he had family. He almost laughed. Family was the man who sent 3 people to beat him to death. They stitched his face, wrapped his ribs, gave him something for the pain that made the world soft and distant. When he woke up hours later, Soleil was sitting beside his hospital bed, still wearing her café jacket, still covered in his blood. You stayed, he whispered. Where else would I be? His eyes filled with tears. He tried to stop them. Failed. I was ready to die tonight. Soleil's jaw tightened. Why? Because hoping hurts more than bleeding. The words hung in the air between them. She reached for his hand. You don't get to give up just because evil is loud. You don't understand. Ryu destroys everything. Everyone who gets close to me ends up what? Dead? Broken? Scared? She leaned forward. I grew up in Baltimore. I've seen evil. I've survived it. And I learned something important. What? Monsters only win when good people stop fighting back. Woo-seok closed his eyes. Tears ran down his bruised face. I don't know how to fight anymore. Then let me fight beside you. Why? His voice cracked. Why do you care? Soleil was quiet for a long moment. When I was 16, my mom got sick. Cancer. We had no insurance, no savings. We were going to lose everything. She stared at the hospital wall. A stranger paid for her treatment. Anonymous donation. We never found out who, but it gave us 6 more months together before she died. She looked at Wushio. Someone saved my family when they didn't have to, and I promised myself I'd do the same if I ever got the chance. I'm not worth saving. That's not your decision to make. A nurse came in to check his vitals, told him he needed to rest, that he'd be released in the morning if everything looked stable. When they were alone again, Woo-seok whispered, He's going to come after you now. I know. And you're still going to help me? I'm still going to help you. He turned his head toward her. You should be terrified. I am terrified, she said quietly. I'm just not letting terror make my decisions anymore. She stood to leave. Soleil. She paused at the door. Thank you. For seeing me when I'd already disappeared. She smiled, sad and fierce and beautiful. You noticed me too, she said. That first night. You saw I was tired. You left me $100 tip I definitely didn't earn. You earned it. How? You treated me like I was human. Not everyone does that anymore. She nodded once and left. Woo-seok lay there in the dark hospital room, ribs screaming, face throbbing. But for the first time in months, something other than fear moved through his chest. Hope. Dangerous. Reckless. Impossible hope. In the parking lot below, Soleil walked to her car. She didn't notice the black sedan 3 rows over, didn't see the man inside taking photos, didn't know that in 5 days everything would collapse, that Ryu would make his move, that she'd wake up to slashed tires and a note on her windshield written in red ink. The note appeared on a Tuesday morning. Soleil found it tucked under her windshield wiper, tires slashed so deep the rubber hung in strips. Block letters. Red ink. Leave him. Or bleed. Her hands shook as she called the police. They came, took photos, asked questions, wrote up a report. Probably random vandalism, the officer said. We'll keep an eye out. They left. Soleil knew better. She called Wushio. He answered on the first ring. Are you okay? Your friend sent me a message. Silence on the other end. Then, where are you? Home. My tires are destroyed. There's a note. Don't go anywhere. I'm coming to you. Wushio, you're still recovering. The line went dead. He arrived 20 minutes later in a taxi, moving stiff from his injuries. He read the note. Read it again. His face turned white. This is my fault. No, this is what happens when good people stop hiding. He grabbed her shoulders. You don't understand. Ryu doesn't threaten. He promises. If he says you'll bleed, you will bleed. Soleil met his eyes. Then let him choke on someone who refuses to break. Soleil, I'm not leaving you. And I'm not scared of threats written in cheap red ink. You should be scared. You should run. Get on a plane and never look back. Is that what you want? I want you alive. His voice echoed through the empty street. Soleil took a breath. I survived poverty, survived losing my mom, survived being alone in a foreign country with nothing but a work visa and $200. I didn't survive all that just to run from a coward who hides behind hired muscle. Wushio stared at her. You're insane. Maybe, or maybe I'm just done pretending kindness is weakness. Over the next week, the threats escalated. Photos of Soleil slipped under her apartment door. Her walking to work, her grocery shopping, her laughing with co-workers. All the pictures had red X marks across her face. Wushio moved into the apartment next to hers. Unofficially, sleeping on floors, watching through peepholes. She brought him meals, checked his healing injuries, sat with him during the long nights when fear made sleep impossible. You smile like happiness betrayed you, she said one evening, and you talk like fear never touched you. It did. Her voice went quiet. I just didn't let it win. They were sitting on her apartment floor, backs against the wall, sharing takeout containers. Tell me about Baltimore, he said. Why? Because I want to know who you were before you became the woman who saved my life. So she told him. About her mom. About working 2 jobs at 16. About the landlord who was kind when kindness wasn't profitable. About leaving America to escape memories that hurt too much to carry. I came to Seoul to disappear, she said. Turns out I'm terrible at it. I'm glad you are. Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Recognition. Understanding. Something deeper than gratitude. Wushio reached for her hand. If I survive this, he whispered, I want... Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered, breathing on the other end. Then a voice. Calm. Cold. Familiar. Hello, Soleil. This is Chairman Ryu. I think it's time we had a proper conversation. Her blood turned to ice. I have nothing to say to you. That's unfortunate, because I have quite a lot to say about your future. Or rather, how long that future will be. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you a choice. Walk away from Han Wushio and I'll make sure you're protected. Safe, perhaps even compensated for your trouble. And if I refuse, then I'll make sure you understand exactly how fragile human life can be. The line went dead. Soleil sat there, phone trembling in her hand. Wushio watched her face change. What did he say? He wants me to leave you. Offered me money. Take it. What? Take the money. Leave. Please. No. Soleil. No. She stood, pacing. I'm not leaving. I'm not running. And I'm definitely not taking blood money from a monster. Then you're going to die. Maybe. But I'll die knowing I didn't abandon someone who needed me. Wushio stood, ignoring the pain in his ribs. You're the bravest person I've ever met. Or the stupidest. both can be true. They stared at each other. Then Soleil's phone buzzed again. Text message, unknown number. 3 words, check your door. She walked to the door, looked through the peephole, no one there. She opened it slowly. A package sat on her doormat. Plain brown box, no return address. She brought it inside, opened it. Inside, a photo of her and Wushio at the hospital, her hand holding his, and underneath, written in that same red ink, last warning, leave, or watch him die slowly. Wushio saw the photo and something inside him shattered. I have to turn myself into him. What? No. It's me he wants. If I give myself up, he'll leave you alone. You don't know that. I know that I can't watch you die because of me. Soleil grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. Listen to me. We're not surrendering. We're fighting. Together. How? I don't know yet. But I know running and hiding isn't working. They stood there, inches apart, the threat sitting between them like a living thing. Neither of them knew that outside, in the black sedan that had become permanent fixture on their street, the same man with the camera was recording everything. Every moment, every touch, every word. Building Ryu's case, preparing for the endgame. And tomorrow morning, when Soleil left for her shift at the cafe, that man would follow her, would wait until she was alone, would make his move, and everything would change. Soleil's shift ended at midnight. She locked the cafe door, pulled her jacket tight against the cold, and walked toward her car. The street was empty. Silent except for distant traffic and the wind cutting through the alley. Her keys were in her hand when she heard footsteps behind her. Fast. Too fast. She turned, a cloth pressed against her mouth and nose, chemical smell burning her throat. She tried to scream, tried to fight. Her vision blurred. The world tilted sideways. Darkness swallowed her whole. Wushio called her phone 17 times. No answer. He went to the cafe. Closed. Dark. Empty. He found her car in the parking lot. Driver's door unlocked. Purse on the ground. Phone shattered on the pavement. Blood on the asphalt. Not much. Just enough to tell him she fought. His hands shook as he picked up the pieces of her phone. A text message on the cracked screen, sent from her number to his. Come to the warehouse on Pier 9. Come alone. Come unarmed. Or I start removing her fingers one at a time. Attached. A photo of Soleil tied to a chair, bruised but conscious, terror in her eyes. Wushio's world collapsed. He should call the police, should get help, should do anything except walk into Ryu's trap alone. But the message was clear. Any deviation, and she dies screaming. He grabbed his keys, made one phone call, then drove toward the warehouse, knowing he probably wouldn't survive the night, but knowing he'd die before letting Ryu hurt her. The warehouse smelled like rust and ocean water. Soleil woke up with her head pounding, wrists bound to a metal chair, ankles tied tight. Blood crusted on her lip where someone had hit her. The room was massive. Empty except for shipping containers stacked against walls. A single light bulb swinging overhead. And Chairman Ryu sitting in a chair 10 feet away, legs crossed, watching her like she was a science experiment. You're awake. Good. Soleil's voice came out rough. What do you want? Honestly, I wanted to understand what Han Wushio sees in you. What makes you worth betraying me for? I don't know what you're talking about. Ryu smiled. Don't insult my intelligence. You saved his life, protected him, made him believe he could survive this. That's more dangerous than any weapon. So you kidnap innocent people? Real brave. Innocent? Ryu stood, walking closer. You inserted yourself into a war you don't understand. That makes you a combatant. I helped someone who was being murdered. That's called being human. That's called being stupid. He crouched in front of her, eye level. Let me explain something about Han Wushio. I raised him. fed him, educated him, gave him everything. And how did he repay me? By stealing confidential documents, by threatening to destroy everything I built. You mean the human trafficking? The money laundering? Yeah, destroying that sounds pretty good to me. Rao's hand moved faster than she could track. The slap echoed through the warehouse. Her head snapped sideways, pain exploding across her cheek. You don't speak unless I ask you a question. Soleil spit blood on the concrete floor. You hit like a coward. Rao laughed, actually laughed. You know what? I almost like you. You've got fire. Wushio always was attracted to strong women. His mother was the same way, stubborn until the very end. Soleil's eyes narrowed. You killed his parents. I removed an obstacle. His father discovered my operations, threatened to expose me. Car accidents are so tragic, especially when brake lines fail. You're a monster. I'm a businessman. Morality is for people who can afford it. Footsteps echoed through the warehouse. The door opened. Wushio walked in, hands raised, showing he was unarmed. His eyes found Soleil immediately, relief and horror fighting for control of his face. Let her go, he said. This is between us. Ryu stood, turning toward him. Is it? Because it seems like she made it her business the moment. She drove her car at my employees. She has nothing to do with this. She has everything to do with this. Ryu's voice echoed off metal walls. You were alone. Broken. Ready to disappear. Then this woman appears and suddenly you remember how to hope, how to fight back, how to be dangerous. He walked toward Wushio slowly. Do you understand what you've cost me? The time I've wasted hunting you? The money I've spent cleaning up your mess? Then kill me and be done with it. Oh, I will, but first I want you to watch what happens to people who help you. Ryu nodded to someone in the shadows. A man appeared holding a knife, walking toward Soleil. Wushio lunged forward. 3 men grabbed him, slamming him to his knees. No! His voice broke. Please, please, I'll do anything. Anything. Ryu's smile widened. Then beg. Beg for her life like the pathetic child you've always been. Wushio didn't beg. He pulled a flash drive from his jacket and held it up. Everything's on here. Every account, every transaction, every name connected to your operations, uploaded to a cloud server with a dead man's switch. Ryu's smile faltered. If I don't check in every 12 hours, it gets sent to every major news outlet in South Korea, the police, Interpol, everyone. You're bluffing. Try me. Silence filled the warehouse. Ryu's eyes narrowed, calculating, measuring risk. You wouldn't. You'd implicate yourself. I don't care anymore. I'll rot in prison if it means you rot there with me. The man with the knife stopped moving. Ryu raised a hand. Step back. The knife lowered. You think this changes anything? Ryu said quietly. You think exposing me saves you? No, but it destroys you. And that's enough. Ryu walked to a desk in the corner, pulled out a laptop, opened it. Show me. Wushio forwarded a sample file. Banking records, wire transfers, photos of Ryu with known criminals, enough to bury him forever. Ryu stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he closed the laptop. You've grown smarter than I gave you credit for. Let her go. And what? You'll delete the files? Pretend this never happened? No, but if you let her go right now, I won't release them immediately. I'll give you 72 hours to disappear. Take your money and run. I don't run. Then you go to prison. Ryu's jaw tightened. Police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Ryu's head snapped toward the sound. What did you do? I called them before I came, told them there was a hostage situation at this address. You foolish. The warehouse doors exploded inward. Police flooded in, guns drawn, shouting commands. Everyone on the ground. Chaos erupted. Ryu's men scattered. Some ran. Some surrendered. Some reached for weapons and were tackled immediately. Ryu stood frozen, watching his empire collapse in real time. A detective walked straight to him. "Chairman Ryu, you're under arrest for kidnapping, assault, and conspiracy. We've been building Ouyuzet's case for months. Tonight just gave us everything we needed." They cuffed him, dragged him toward the door. He looked back at Wushio one last time. "This isn't over." "Yes," Wushio said quietly. "It is." Officers untied Soleil, checked her injuries, wrapped her in a blanket. She ran to Wushio the moment she was free. He caught her, arms wrapping around her like he'd never let go. "I'm sorry," he whispered into her hair. "I'm so sorry. You saved me. You saved me first." They stood there, holding each other in the middle of controlled chaos, surrounded by police and evidence and the ruins of Chairman Ryu's criminal empire. For the first time in months, Wushio felt something other than fear. Peace. Fragile and temporary, but real. "Is it really over?" Soleil asked. "I think so." "What happens now?" "Now we testify. Build a case. Make sure he never hurts anyone again." "And after that?" He pulled back, looking at her bruised face, her fierce eyes, her unbreakable spirit. "After that, I want to learn how to live again. With you. If you'll let me." She smiled, tired and beautiful and free. I'd like that." Paramedics arrived, insisted on checking them both, loading them into ambulances. As they drove away from the warehouse, Soleil watched through the back window as police led Ryu into a van. He turned his head at the last moment. Their eyes met. He smiled, cold and cruel and promising, and Soleil felt ice crawl up her spine, because she'd seen that smile before, on men who knew they'd already won. 3 weeks later, snow fell gently over Seoul, but Café Hanul felt warm. Soleil placed a cup of hot chocolate on the table. Not coffee this time. Wushio smiled. Fully. Completely. No shadows behind his eyes. "You remembered. You mentioned you used to love hot chocolate as a kid, before everything got complicated." He took a sip. Closed his eyes. "Thank you. For the drink? For everything. For noticing me when I'd already disappeared. For fighting when you should have run. For teaching me that loneliness isn't strength." Soleil sat across from him. "And you taught me that kindness isn't weakness. That standing up to monsters is worth the risk." They sat in comfortable silence, watching snow fall past the windows. Ryu was awaiting trial, evidence mounting daily, witnesses coming forward now that fear had loosened its grip. Wushio had been granted immunity in exchange for testimony. The files he'd gathered were destroying criminal networks across 3 countries. He'd found work at a non-profit fighting human trafficking, using his insider knowledge for something good. Soleil still worked at the cafe, but now she came home to an apartment that didn't feel empty. To someone who understood what surviving felt like. "What are you thinking about?" Wushio asked. "How strange life is. 3 months ago you were a lonely stranger in a corner booth. Now you're the person I think about when I wake up, when I'm making coffee, when I'm walking home." He reached across the table, took her hand. "I think about you constantly. Your courage, your laugh, the way you refuse to let me give up. We make a good team. The best." They finished their drink slowly, savoring peace they'd fought for. Outside, the city moved on, unaware of the battles fought in parking garages and warehouses, unaware of the woman who stared down evil with a tire iron, unaware of the man who chose truth over survival. But they knew, and that was enough. As they left the cafe together, Wushio pulled Soleil close. "I love you," he whispered. "I should have said it sooner. I love you too, even when you're being stubborn and self-sacrificing." They walked through falling snow toward home. Neither of them saw the car parked across the street, or the man inside, watching them through tinted windows, taking photos, making calls. preparing. Because while Ryu sat in a cell awaiting trial, his network remained intact. His partners, his allies, his successors. And they'd received very clear instructions. Make them suffer, both of them. Show the world what happens to people who betray our family. Soleil's phone buzzed during dinner. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her press the green button. Hello? Silence on the other end, then breathing. Steady. Calm. Waiting. Who is this? A voice. Male. Unfamiliar. Cold. Soleil Carter, the woman who destroyed Chairman Ryu's empire. Her blood turned to ice. Ryu's in prison. Ryu was one man. We are many. The voice continued, each word precise and measured. Did you really think removing one chairman would stop decades of infrastructure? That putting one man in a cell would dismantle everything we've built? What do you want? To deliver a message. Chairman Ryu was only the beginning. What you've destroyed, we will rebuild. What you've taken from us, we will reclaim. With interest. Wushio noticed her face change. Mouthed, "What's wrong?" The voice kept talking. You and Han Wushio made yourselves symbols, heroes who defeated corruption. Do you understand how dangerous that makes you? Is this a threat? This is a promise. We will dismantle your lives piece by piece. Everyone you love, everything you've built. We will take it all, slowly, painfully, until you beg us to finish what Ryu started. The line went dead. Soleil sat frozen, phone trembling in her hand. What did they say? Wushio grabbed her shoulders. She looked at him, fear and determination fighting in her eyes. Ryu wasn't alone. He has partners, successors. They're coming for us. When? They didn't say, just that it's already started. Wushio's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered on speaker. A different voice. Female this time. Calm. Professional. Han Wushio. The boy Chairman Ryu raised. The son who betrayed his father. He wasn't my father. No, but we are your family. And family doesn't forgive betrayal. We destroyed him. We'll destroy you too. The woman laughed, soft and cold. Destroy us? You've barely scratched the surface. Ryu's arrest created a power vacuum. That vacuum is being filled as we speak, by people far more ruthless than he ever was. Who are you? You'll find out soon enough. But first let me give you a preview of what's coming. She paused. Check your email. Wushio opened his laptop with shaking hands. New message. No sender name. Subject line. Coming soon. He clicked it. Photos loaded one by one. Soleil's apartment building, from every angle. The cafe where she worked. Interior shots, showing blind spots, weak points. Wushio's new office. His desk, his computer, his files. The non-profit where he worked. Staff photos, names, addresses, and underneath all the images, a single sentence in red text. Everyone you love, everyone who helped you, everyone who knows your names. They're all on our list now. The call was still connected. The woman's voice returned. Sleep well, both of you. Tomorrow you're real. War begins. The line went dead. Soleil and Wushio sat in crushing silence. Everything they'd fought for. Everyone they'd saved. Now marked for destruction. We have to run, Soleil whispered. We can't run from an organization we can't even identify. Then what do we do? Wushio closed the laptop, his jaw set hard. We fight, again. Harder this time. Against what? We don't even know who they are. Then we find out. We expose them. We burn them down the same way we burned down Ryu. Soleil looked at him, saw the determination in his eyes, and felt her own fear transform into something sharper. Rage. They made a mistake, she said quietly. What? They gave us warning. They could have just killed us. But they warned us first. Wushio nodded slowly. They want us scared. Then let's disappoint them. They stood together, facing the window, watching the Seoul skyline glitter in the darkness. Somewhere out there, an enemy they couldn't see was preparing to destroy them. But they'd survived Chairman Ryu. They'd survived betrayal and violence and death threats and kidnapping, and they'd do it again. Together. I'm not letting them take you from me, Wushio said, and I'm not letting them win. Soleil's phone buzzed one more time. Final message. Unknown sender. Just 4 words. Chairman Ryu was mercy. She showed Wushio the screen. They stood in the center of Soleil's apartment, surrounded by invisible threats, hunted by shadows they couldn't name. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. And this time the enemy wasn't one man. It was an empire.